I heard the buzz around Skyhaven Academy before I even finished my meditation. Some new kid, a real prodigy, had apparently shown up. He was already the darling of the academy, especially with my younger sisters. The whole place was fawning over him. By the time I finally emerged from my seclusion, I found him on his knees, crying his eyes out in front of our master. Master Alara, he's only at the foundation level. How can he be allowed to occupy Cole's summit, the lodge with the richest aura in the entire academy? I just sighed and shook my head. Later, under the pretense of teaching him swordsmanship, I poked about a dozen holes in him. Everyone else just rolled their eyes. Dude, one of the senior students muttered, Cole might be foundation level, but he's been at it for 10,000 years. 10,000 years, and I was still stuck spinning my wheels at the bottom rung of the ladder. Reaching the adept level felt like a distant dream. Meanwhile, my three little sisters had already become grandmasters and archons. Seraphina, the youngest in our group, but the most powerful, had ascended to archon status, making her second only to Master Alara herself. I felt a flicker of something a while back, a hint of a breakthrough, so I'd seal myself away. Total bust. All that time in isolation for nothing. I figured I might as well head back to my place on the summit and tend to my gardens and chickens. At least my stomach wouldn't be disappointed. On my way back, a voice echoed in my mind. Master Alara. She said someone had filed a formal complaint, accusing me of abusing my position. I was to report to the council hall to face my accuser. Now, that was something new. Everyone in Skyhaven knew me, Cole, the first brother. I was the academy's good luck charm. It wasn't about my power level. It was because I have a verdant soul. Any celestial herb or enchanted plant I touch flourishes, its potency multiplying as if on steroids. Most of the academy's medicinal gardens are on my summit, under my personal care. Every single vital ingredient the academy relies on, I grew it. Who wouldn't call me first brother with a smile? When I walked into the council hall, Master Alara was there, her robes shimmering, radiating a divine energy. The whole aesthetic was slightly ruined by the huge slice of oramelon she was devouring. A handsome kid was kneeling on the floor, his face a mask of righteous indignation. The moment I entered, he pointed a shaking finger at me. Master, Cole is a nobody, a foundation-level waste of space. Why does he control the academy's best resources? Why is Cole's summit, with its potent aura, his alone? I'm the future of this academy. I've only been training for 2 years, and I'm about to reach adept level. It's not fair. So this was the new kid, the one Master Alara had just taken in. I'd heard the whispers. Caleb, the golden boy, charming and absurdly talented, hailed as the best of his generation, making adept in 2 years. Not bad, I thought, stroking my chin. Master Alara, however, acted like she hadn't heard a word. Her face lit up when she saw me. If we weren't surrounded by other students, she probably would have tackled me with a hug. Cole, you're out. I nodded. Still no breakthrough? She asked, a smirk playing on her lips. She already knew the answer. I just gave a helpless wave. Being ignored, the new kid started wailing again. Master, you see, he was in seclusion for 2 years, and he's still at foundation level. He's a complete failure at cultivation. Why do you favor him so much? Finally annoyed by the noise, Master Alara shot him a withering glare. Caleb, your first brother has been at the foundation level for 10,000 years. The kid froze, looking like he'd been struck by lightning. 10,000 years. Was that even humanly possible? A foundation-level cultivator's lifespan was 500 years, tops. After a long moment, he clenched his fists. Master, even if he's been at it for 10,000 years, he's still just a foundation level. He has no right to hoard the academy's resources. I want to challenge him. If I lose, I'll admit I was wrong. But if he loses, he hands over Cole's summit. A ripple of shock went through the assembled students. They all had the same expression. Caleb must have taken a lightning bolt to the head. Master Alara winked at me playfully. Well, Cole, what do you think? I grinned and nodded. It had been a few years. I was long overdue for a session of instructing my juniors. The other students saw my expression and wisely took several steps back. Caleb didn't hesitate. He drew his sword and charged. I recognized the blade instantly. It was Tidecaller, my fourth sister Jade's sword. She must really like this kid to have given him her personal weapon. Tide color summoned a wave of watery energy that crashed toward me, cracking the flagstones on the floor. To my eyes, though, the attack was a mess of openings. I simply reached out. My fingers slipped past the shimmering blade and tapped Caleb on the shoulder. A spray of blood erupted from the point of contact. Your footwork is sloppy. Another tap. Your stance is unstable. Another. And your swordplay is full of holes. By the time I finished speaking, Caleb was covered in over a dozen bloody punctures, looking like a human pincushion. I made sure each strike missed anything vital. He collapsed to his knees, blood pooling around him. I let out a small laugh. Kid, if you suck, you need to practice more. That's not how you use Tide Collar. And your power level? It feels like it was bought with potions. You're all flash, no substance. Caleb's face turned pale, his fists trembling. I was just careless. I haven't mastered the Tide Collar technique yet. Once I get more pointers from Sister Jade, I'll challenge you again. Master Alara shook her head, exasperated. Why did you have to provoke him? Even I don't dare to fight him. The students around us started whispering. Cole has a verdant soul. Who else would manage the gardens? Cole's summit has the thickest aura, which is perfect for growing celestial herbs. Of course it's his lodge. He grows more than half of the academy supplies. Who here hasn't been instructed by the first brother? He's notoriously strict. Only this idiot would be dumb enough to challenge him. Should keep it down. The first brother has excellent hearing. Hearing all of this, Caleb's face darkened with a venomous glare before he passed out cold. Someone get him to the infirmary before he bleeds out, I said, waving them off. Back on my summit, the first thing I did was check on my gardens. For cultivators, a couple of years is nothing. The fields hadn't changed much, and someone had clearly been tending to them. But without the nurturing energy from my verdant soul, the celestial herbs looked listless. The oragreens and sun gourds my sisters loved looked especially pathetic. I forced out a couple of drops of my essence, my own lifeblood, and spent some time carefully tending to the plants. Soon enough, they were vibrant again. News that I was back spread through the academy like wildfire. A flash of crimson shot across the sky and landed right outside my bamboo lodge. Before I could even react, a warm, fragrant body crashed in my arms, nuzzling into my chest like a happy little piglet. First brother, you're finally out. I miss you so much. I patted her on the back, gently stroking her hair with a sigh. A complete waste of 2 years in seclusion. Ruby just beamed. That's okay. Now you can help me in the garden again. I've been craving the oragreens you grow. The ones other people raise just don't taste the same. As she said it, a little trickle of drool escaped the corner of her mouth. Ruby's a decent cultivator, but her true passion is food. She's, without a doubt, the best chef in all of Skyhaven. Combine her cooking skills with the ingredients I grow, and you get meals that are nothing short of divine. My summit used to be packed with students trying to score a free meal around dinner time, until Ruby chased them all off with a broom. These are the special oragreens my brother grows for me. Go eat in the main dining hall, she'd shout. Of course, they'd still try to swipe a few gourds or greens on their way out, which always made her grind her teeth in frustration. During all those years when I couldn't break through to the adept level, Ruby was always by my side. The lodge, the garden. It was like our own little slice of paradise. Brother, look, she whined, patting her flat stomach. I'm so skinny from hunger. I laughed and ruffled her hair. All right. You go start cooking. I just happened to liberate a suncrest rooster from near Master Alara's lodge. Ruby's eyes lit up, and she nodded enthusiastically. Then she tossed several small sacks on the table, listing their contents like a proud merchant. These are the silverite seeds Master Alara wanted. These are sweet melons from the northern sea. And this is a 5-phoenix fruit. Here, good brother, they're all yours. I know anything you grow will be delicious, she said, before grabbing the rooster and heading for the kitchen. Master Alara really hit the jackpot with the 4 of us. She was constantly bragging to the other peak masters. Why are your students so bad at gardening? Why is your students' cooking so terrible? Why are your disciples so slow at cultivation? Oh, by the way, my Seraphina just reached Archon, and Jade isn't far behind. She just mastered her Tide Collar technique. The other masters and their students would just seethe. After planting all the new seeds, I channeled my energy, condensing it into a spiritual water, and gave everything a good soak. Cultivation can be pretty boring, honestly. For me, it's just leveling up my foundation, tending to my plants. But hey, it doesn't seem like anyone can beat me, so what's a rush? Soon, dinner time rolled around, and the savory aroma of the Suncrest rooster filled the air on the summit. Ruby's cooking had gotten even better, but we had an uninvited guest. It was Caleb, the new kid. He was standing in front of my lodge with a goofy grin, holding a massive crimson fin fish. "Sister Ruby, I was hoping to have some of your cooking." In the past, Ruby had been quite kind to him, often making him special dishes. She'd even go out of her way to learn new pastry recipes from the town market just to make them for him. "You only ever used to cook for me," Caleb said, his voice laced with a pouting possessiveness, his eyes locked on Ruby. "Sister, you've changed. I don't like it." Whoa, that was the predatory gaze of a suitor marking his territory. I'd seen it on other guys before. "Looks like the new kid has a crush on my sister." "I was just experimenting with new recipes and needed a taste tester," Ruby replied, her back to him as she focused on the stew, a controlled flame of pure energy simmering beneath the pot. The smell was incredible. Caleb looked awkward, probably remembering the times her experiments had resulted in him spending half the night in the bathroom. He quickly held up the fish. "Sister, look what I brought you. I caught it myself in the Serpent River. They say its meat is the finest in the world. It cost me 300 mana crystals." "Oh, let me see," Ruby said, turning around with genuine interest. Her eyes immediately fell on the crimson-scaled fish. My internal alarm bells started screaming. Bad idea. Ruby's face went white. Her aura flared chaotically, and shimmering scales began to appear on her cheeks. Her body convulsed, and in a flash, her legs were replaced by a magnificent golden fishtail. Caleb froze in sheer terror. The fish dropped from his hands. His legs started shaking uncontrollably. "Sister Ruby. She's a monster." He turned and fled, scrambling away like his life depended on it. The gentle, kind sister who cooked for him was a carp demon. His entire worldview was crumbling. A monster in the hallowed halls of Skyhaven. I put a hand on Ruby's shoulder, calming her just before she went into a full-blown rage, and tossed the offending crimson fin into the pond by the door. "All right, calm down. Every time you see a carp, you go nuts." Ruby was a carp spirit who had taken human form. Seeing one of her own kind about to be cooked always sent her into a frenzy. It's why you'd never, ever find fish on Skyhaven's supply list. This kid bringing one here was practically a death wish. "Next time I see him, I'm going to skin him alive." Ruby seethed, her chest heaving. The view was distracting. Have to admit, the half-fish, half-human look was stunning. "Hey, sis," I asked, trying to lighten the mood. "Do you have gills?" "What gills?" she asked, confused. A moment later, she realized what I was implying. Her face turned bright red, her fishtail vanished, and she spat on the ground. "Pervert." For my little joke, my share of the Suncrest rooster ended up being the head and the tail. Kicked out of dinner at my own table. The shame of it all, I pocketed a couple of aura melons and went to find my fourth sister, Jade. I hadn't seen her in 2 years and was curious how her tide collar technique was coming along. She used to be the first one at my door whenever it was time to eat. For her to miss one of Ruby's meals? That wasn't like her at all. I found her at her lodge on Sunset Ridge, and sure enough, she was teaching Caleb sword forms. They were laughing together, looking quite friendly. Whenever Caleb's form faltered, Jade would patiently correct him, even demonstrating the moves herself. Of my 3 sisters, Ruby loved cooking more than cultivating. Seraphina, the strongest, was buried under administrative duties. Jade, the mischievous and playful one, was the most charming and the one I was closest to. When she was trying to break through to master level, she'd suffered a deviation, a backlash of power that nearly killed her. I had to travel all the way to the Sunken Lands to find a life spring pill to save her. She loved the iridescent pearls from the Sapphire Sea, so I fought its Dragon King for 2 straight days to get her the biggest one, which now sits atop her peak. Her sword, Tidecaller, was forged for her by a master smith, with the core of a jade toad embedded in the blade. And now, that very sword was in Caleb's hands. "Looks like I came at a bad time," I muttered to myself, hidden in the branches of a nearby tree. But the slight rustle of leaves caught Jade's attention. Her face broke into a radiant smile the moment she saw me. Forgetting all about Caleb, she launched herself at me. First brother, you're out. She burrowed into my arms like a kitten, her fingers lacing tightly with mine. Been out for a few days, I said with a nod. Jade pouted. Why didn't you come see me first? Did you go get a secret snack from Ruby? Her eyes narrowed. Did you even think about me while you were gone? Of course not, I said quickly. Thinking of you was the only thing that got me through it. That brought the smile back to her face. Good. She gestured behind her at Caleb. This is the new kid Master Alara took on. Come and greet your first brother. Caleb's face soured. He trudged over and gave a reluctant bow. No need. We've already met. Jade pulled me by the hand over to a stone bench in front of her cottage. I thought Master Alara said she wasn't taking any more students, I asked. At that, Jade's pout returned. She accepted a massive gift from the Miller family. They also promised to donate 10 million in mana crystals every year. That's the only reason she took him. But then she just dumped him on me to train. He's like a piece of gum on my shoe. I can't get rid of him. She huffed, clearly annoyed. I pinched her cheek, which was still full of youthful softness. This doesn't seem like you. When did you become an instructor? Jade stuck out her tongue. The pay was too good. It turned out she got a 10% cut of the Miller family's donation. No wonder she was being so diligent with Caleb's training. Don't worry, first brother, she said, holding up 3 fingers in a solemn oath. My heart will always belong to you. Over by the wall, I could hear Caleb grinding his teeth. He started kicking a stone wall again and again until a section of it crumbled. First brother, I bought you a ton of presents when I was down in the city. Jade pulled me into her room and started hauling out a mountain of gifts. There were training swords, enchanted talismans, protective armor, and all sorts of weird little trinkets. First brother, this is a fire rune blade, perfect for a peak foundation level user. Isn't this robe beautiful? It has a defensive array woven into it. It's perfect for you. This hairpin is one of a kind. It would look so handsome on you. Try it on. She chattered on, presenting each gift. It was clear she prioritized looks over practicality. Caleb trailed behind us, looking absolutely crushed. Sister Jade, those were gifts for you. How can you just give them to someone else? Jade shot him an icy glare. Once you give them to me, they're mine. I can give them to whomever I want. If you can't afford to be generous, then don't give gifts at all. I can buy my own things. Caleb's face paled. Sister, that's not what I meant. Ugh, can you stop being so annoying? What's mine is my first brother's. We've been together for 10,000 years. What are you getting so bent out of shape about? I put on a stern face. Junior brother, that's where you're wrong. A man has to be more broad-minded. We've all been the simp for a few years. Caleb's face got even darker. He drew his sword and pointed it at me. Brother, I refuse to accept this. You've trained for 10,000 years, and you're still a nobody. Why do all the sisters side with you? Looks like mastering Tidecaller had gone to his head. I just shook my own head in resignation. Jade, however, looked thrilled, a mischievous glint in her eye. First brother, why don't you? Instruct him a little. Hearing that, Caleb couldn't hold back any longer and lunged at me. But before the tip of his sword could even touch my clothes, he suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood and collapsed dramatically to the ground. I was like, he lay there, clutching his chest and wailing. Sister Jade, my chest. It hurts so much. I've been stabbed. Jade was like, so this is how he plays the victim card? I think I was starting to see his game, but I wasn't about to let him get away with it. I took the sword Jade offered me and walked over to him, and I raised it to strike. Caleb clearly hadn't expected that. His eyes went wide with panic. In a flash, he sprang to his feet and raised his own sword to block. But I was the one who created the Tidecaller style in the first place. Even if he perfected it, to me, it was still a textbook of flaws. Shink, shink, shink. In the space of a few blinks, Caleb had a dozen new holes in him. He looked completely defeated. It didn't matter if he mastered the technique or not. Facing me was like standing naked in a blizzard. I could dismantle his every move with a single glance. You still have a lot to learn, junior brother, I said, pulling my sword back before I actually killed him. Sister Jade, look. Caleb whined, his eyes welling up with tears. Jade walked over to him, her face a mask of sympathy. You'll get used to it, she said brightly. The first brother is famously strict. Every student in the academy goes through this. I remember one junior got stabbed over 1,800 times. She tapped her chin. Oh, right, that guy was already a master level. Why didn't you tell me that before? Caleb wailed. Jade stuck her tongue out. Oops, I forgot. It's been a few hundred years since anyone dared to challenge the first brother. I just wave a hand. Get him to the infirmary before he bleeds out. Caleb looked confused. Sister Jade, aren't you coming with me? The sister who is usually so attentive seemed different today. You can go by yourself. I have things to talk about with my first brother, Jade said dismissively. He looked even more heartbroken. Sister, don't you like me anymore? Jade answered by kicking him squarely in the chest. I was nice enough to teach you, and you thought that meant you could sleep with me? The kick sent him flying off the edge of Sunset Ridge. I felt a headache coming on. Jade snatched the melon from my hand and took a huge bite. Brother, I missed your melons. She rolled her eyes. Caleb is so annoying, always playing the innocent victim. But Master Alara falls for it every time, so you'd better be careful. If it weren't for the money, I'd have stabbed him myself. A grown man acting like such a whiny baby. She went on ranting about the new kid. It was obvious she couldn't stand him, but was trapped by the cash. I gathered up the gifts she'd given me, left her 2 vials of cultivation pills, and then flickered, leaving only an afterimage behind. From behind me, I heard Jade's indignant shout. First brother, if you use that phantom step trick on me again, I'm going to go find Caleb. I went back to Cole Summit and fell back into my lazy routine of gardening, while Ruby kept inventing new and more delicious meals. One day, the great bell in the Academy's main hall began to toll. That was the signal for a full assembly. Something big was happening. I hitched a ride on one of Ruby's flying silk ribbons and headed over. Pretty much every student who wasn't in deep seclusion was there. Master Alara was meditating again, so my third sister, Seraphina, was handling Academy affairs. She always looked like an ice sculpture, her beautiful face set in a permanent frown. She was sitting in the master's throne, staring coldly down at Caleb, who had been the one to ring the bell. The great bell is only to be rung in matters of grave importance. State your purpose. Caleb shuddered, took a deep breath, and bowed. Sister, I am here to accuse the first brother of assaulting a fellow student. You are in charge of the council. You must seek justice for me. With that, he ripped off the top half of his robe, revealing the dozen or so bloody punctures that still hadn't fully healed. Look at this. He did this to me, all because I was getting a little close with Sister Jade. He abused his power and ran me through. Seraphina's brow furrowed. She looked at me. First brother, is this true? Caleb pulled a copy of the Skyhaven Academy rulebook from his robes, held it high above his head, and howled, Sister, according to Article 10 of the Code of Conduct, any student who intentionally injures another during a spar shall be expelled. I demand you uphold justice. Seraphina glanced at him dismissively. Read Article 3. Caleb fumbled with the book. Article 3 read, First, Brother Cole, by virtue of his verdant soul, is granted authority over the training and instruction of all junior disciples. He stood there stunned. But he's only at foundation level. What can he possibly teach? Seraphina's face remained cold. Why don't you ask the elders here who among them dares to ask the first brother for a lesson? The elders she glanced at shook their heads so fast they blurred, all of them backing away nervously, terrified I might look in their direction. Now, she said, read Article 1. Caleb looked down at the book again. Right there at the top. The first brother was instrumental in the founding of this academy and holds the right to amend the code of conduct. The kid was completely floored. He'd clearly only read the parts of the rulebook that benefited him. I just smirked. Caleb's face cycled through shades of red and purple. Finally, he dropped to his knees with a thud. Then I accused the second sister. She is a monster. He pointed a shaking finger at Ruby. She isn't human. Skyhaven is an academy for humankind. How can we harbor a demon? The first brother knew, and he covered for her. Now it was Seraphina's turn to be shocked. How could a foundation-level nobody like Caleb have discovered the true form of a grandmaster? The other students started whispering, but there was no panic. What's the big deal? The academy rules don't forbid non-humans from joining, someone said. Caleb shouted, but they are not our kind. Those who are not of our race are bound to have different allegiances. Who knows if Ruby is a spy sent by the demon clans? Ruby's eyes went wide, as if seeing him for the first time. Junior brother, how could you say that? She asked, her voice trembling. After all the meals I've cooked for you? Caleb sneered. I never asked you to cook for me. You did all that on your own. Ruby's face flushed, her lips trembling with rage. She could only stammer. You. Caleb pressed on, his voice ringing through the hall. Sister Seraphina, humans and demons must remain separate. How can Skyhaven Academy associate with such creatures? I demand you deal with this carp demon according to the rules and restore order. He puffed out his chest. The first brother, who concealed her identity, should be punished as well. He spoke with such conviction. He clearly expected a round of applause. Instead, he was met with a sea of baffled stares. Everyone was looking at him like he was an idiot. Since when was that a rule? He ignored them and pressed on, bowing to Seraphina. Sister, Ruby has infiltrated our academy. She should be cast into the abyss. And the first brother, who concealed her identity, should share her fate. The abyss was the chasm that separated the human and demon realms, a place of howling, soul-shredding winds. Anything below an archon would be torn to shreds in moments. This kid was ruthless. At my current level, I'd be dust before I hit the bottom. Seraphina had heard enough. She stood up. Caleb, there is no rule in this academy that forbids demons from enrolling. As for the first brother breaking the rules, please refer to Article 1. Caleb's face went dark. Sister, you're twisting the law to protect them. Seraphina's gaze swept over the crowd and landed on Ruby. For a moment, her icy expression softened. As for Ruby being a carp demon, Caleb's eyes lit up. Then arrest her. Seraphina rolled her eyes at him. What's the big deal? She said flatly. I'm a demon too. And with that, 6 fluffy, white fox tails unfurled behind her, swaying gently in the air. The new kid just stood there, his mind completely blown, his entire reality collapsing around him. The hall erupted in laughter as everyone turned to look at Caleb with scorn. He was still stammering in shock. How is that possible? The third sister is a fox demon, but humans and demons are different. Staring at those 6 pristine white tails, Caleb looked like the sky was falling. Kid, I said, my voice heavy with pity. Stop with this humans versus demons nonsense. Does it really matter what they are after how well they've all treated you? He finally snapped out of his shock. No, this is a conspiracy. You're all in on it. I want to see Master Alara. She'll give me justice. He bolted from the hall, running towards the Master's private sanctum. I took this still heartbroken Ruby back to my summit. After that fiasco, I figured Caleb wouldn't be bothering us for a while. To soothe her wounded feelings, Ruby cooked a feast, conspicuously lacking any Suncrest roosters pilfered from Master. Just as we were about to eat, Seraphina arrived. She walked right up to me, a rare, breathtaking smile on her face. First brother, you came out of seclusion and didn't come to see me. I rubbed my nose. I thought you were in seclusion, too. Didn't want to disturb you. Her smile vanished. So you weren't worried I might die from a poison flare-up? I see. You just didn't want to see me. After a few thousand years, am I too old for you now? Or would you rather spend the rest of your life with this carp? I buried my face in my hands. Seraphina was a white fox spirit. When I'd found her, she was dying from fever bloom poison, a potent aphrodisiac curse that required aura bonding every 10 years to keep at bay. I brought her back to Skyhaven. Out of all the men in the academy, she chose me, clinging to me day and night until Master Alara had no choice but to order me to perform the bonding ritual with her. It's not like that. It's just Ruby is more available. Seraphina's eyes filled with tears. So you're saying I'm too busy? Fine. I'll go resign as acting head of the academy right now. Fat, teary drops began to roll down her cheeks. I was about to wipe them away when Ruby pulled me back. You fox, don't think I don't know what you're up to. It's not time for your 10-year cycle yet. Seraphina shoved Ruby's arm away. The first brother is my partner. What does it have to do with you? Ruby scoffed. That was just an order from the master, so you wouldn't die. There are no real feelings involved. That's nonsense. The first brother loves our bonding sessions. Right, brother? Seraphina turned to me, her eyes red as she argued with Ruby. I nearly fell out of my chair. Sister Seraphina, could you please not shout about such embarrassing things? I wasn't a volunteer. I was trying to save your life, and I ended up getting trapped on your pirate ship. 10,000 years. Once a decade. Do you have any idea what that's like? And as she got stronger, her stamina became absurd. The tales of being drained dry overnight weren't just stories. 10 years of building up my reserves, gone in a single night. See? He's not saying anything, Ruby said, her hands on her hips. So what? Serafina shot back, not backing down. You've waited on him for 10,000 years, and he's never even touched you. That did it. Ruby lunged forward and threw herself into my lap, clinging to me like an octopus. First brother, Serafina has had you for 10,000 years. It has to be my turn by now. Am I not your little carp you rescued anymore? I rubbed my nose and looked at Serafina. Sister, you're an Archon now. The poison should be gone, right? Her icy face flushed. No, it'll still take a few more years to clear out completely. Brother, please help me. Do you want to watch me die? I felt her pulse. There was indeed a knot of toxic energy in her core, and it felt like it was close to erupting. But it hadn't been 10 years. Shouldn't her increased power give her more control? I was confused. First brother, don't listen to her lies. Her poison was cured years ago. Ruby insisted. Let's go down to the city and watch the fireworks. It's the Starlight Festival tonight. She shook my arm, her eyes full of hope. Just then, a tiny, fluffy foxtail snaked into my hand and started tickling my palm. Seeing them about to start fighting again, my scalp tingled. In the end, Serafina won. After she showed Ruby the dark, swirling miasma of poison under her arm, Ruby stormed out of my lodge in a huff. The moment she was gone, Serafina wrapped herself around me. First brother, didn't you miss me? I turned my face away. No. You're lying. What's this pole then? It's nothing. Fine, I'm leaving. Don't. This time, can you not be in human form? I want to see the foxtails. The night passed without another word. In the morning, I had to use the wall for support as I staggered out of my lodge. That vixen, she wanted to have a little fox cub, nearly cost me my life. We argued for half the night about how a human couldn't possibly father a fox. The debate finally ended with her begging for mercy, and the discussion was closed. I found a few 1,000-year-old herbs in the garden and ate them just to get some strength back. The dining table was a mess. It looked like Ruby hadn't come back all night. Women were so hard to please. One drains my life force, the other gives me the silent treatment. My body couldn't take much more of this. Was I ever going to reach a depth level? I sat on a large rock in the middle of my garden, meditating. I couldn't even feel a hint of the threshold to the next level. All that happened was that the sea of energy inside me had expanded again. It felt as vast as the night sky above. I couldn't find its edges. It was so strange. At this rate, breaking through in this lifetime seemed hopeless. As I was cultivating, my fourth sister, Jade, showed up. Where's Sister Ruby? She asked, looking at the messy table. She then proceeded to sniff at both me and where Serafina had been sitting. What were you two up to? For the first time ever, I saw Serafina blush furiously. She shot me a death glare. I have to go handle academy matters. Without another word to Jade, she summoned her sword and flew off. Jade didn't think much of it. She pulled a large sack from behind her back. First brother, look. This is all the stuff Caleb gave me over the past few days. It was full of jade pendants, scented sachets, enchanted swords, and other valuable items. Do you think he likes me? I nodded. Sending this much stuff every other day? Yeah, he was definitely into her. Jade looked troubled, but I don't like him at all. He's not manly in the slightest. This time he gave me 100,000 mana crystals and asked me to go exploring with him in the Shrouded Font. She sighed. Oh well, for that many crystals, I guess I can go with him. I'm a master-level cultivator, after all. What could happen? She then said, by the way, first brother, I can't use any of this stuff, so it's all yours. Hee, just give me a bag of your new Oromelons in return. She dumped the entire pile of gifts onto my bed and skipped off into my garden. I was about to leave when my eyes caught something in the pile. It was a spirit snake dagger with the name Cole carved into it. The lettering was crooked and clumsy, clearly Jade's handiwork. The hilt was covered in tiny scales, painstakingly glued on one by one. I recognized them. They were scales she had plucked from her own body. What was I supposed to do with this? My poor body really couldn't handle another sister. But Jade acted like nothing was out of the ordinary. She grabbed a bag of melons and headed down the mountain. I had no choice. I whistle for the old yellow dog that guarded my summit. Old boy, go keep an eye on Jade. There's a giant toad demon in the shrouded fun. Tell him to be careful, or I'll come down there and rip his tongue out. The old dog gave a couple of barks, then dissolved into a plume of black smoke and vanished. A few days later, my little sister returned, carried on a stretcher. I kicked the old dog clear across the yard. I told you to watch her, and this is what happens. The dog whined pitifully. It wasn't the old toad. It was that kid, Caleb. He poisoned her. Poisoned her. My expression hardened. I grabbed Jade's arm. It felt feverishly hot. A vicious toxin was raging through her veins, but her own aura was sealed away inside her core. It was fever bloom poison. Again, and this time, it was one of our own. I sent a sliver of my own energy into her, shattering the seal on her core. Her own aura immediately began to battle the poison. Jade's face twisted in pain, and her eyes fluttered open. First brother, where am I? I remember. A big black dog carrying me away. I patted her hand reassuringly. You're back on my summit. You're safe. Jade let out a sigh of relief, then gritted her teeth. It was Caleb. He poisoned me. I completely misjudged him. That monster. Her emotions surged, and she passed out again. It was clear what had happened. Caleb had tried to force himself on her. She'd realized it, but the poison was already in her system. The old dog must have shown up and brought her back. Did he really think the first brother, didn't exist? Even if Master Alara herself were here, she couldn't protect him now. I swear it. Old dog, go break that kid's arms and legs, shatter his core, and drag him back here. I had just given the order when a figure appeared at the foot of the mountain path. It was Caleb. He was clutching a bottle of medicine and sprinting up the trail. He stopped at my door, his face a perfect picture of guilt. I'm so sorry, first brother. It's all my fault for wanting to go to the shrouded fun. Sister Jade only got hurt because of me. Look, I found this elixir. It's for treating injuries. I shot him a withering look. Jade was hit with fever bloom poison. What good is that medicine of yours? I was about to teach him a permanent lesson when I realized Master Alara was standing right behind him. He'd actually managed to get her to come out of her seclusion. Cole, let me see Jade first. The master entered the room and immediately took Jade's pulse. By now, Jade's skin had gone from flush to a deep pink, and steam was rising from her body. Master Alara frowned. This is the same poison Seraphina had. How did it end up in shrouded fun? Caleb looked frantic. Master, what do we do now? She waved a hand dismissively. The only cure for fever bloom is balancing the energies, but we'd have to ask Jade what she wants. You too. Master, I can't. I interrupted quickly. I'm tapped out. She glared at me. If not you, then who? Me. We could always go grab a handsome young disciple. She'd have to agree to it. We bickered back and forth. Caleb cleared his throat. Master, I am responsible for what happened to Sister Jade. Why don't you let me? The master and I both ignored him. As long as he's good-looking, she'll definitely agree, I argued. Master Alara smacked me on the back of the head. Is there anyone in this entire academy more handsome than you? And you're telling me you have no idea how Jade feels about you? I shook my head. I already had Seraphina. I couldn't be a two-timing jerk. She hit me again. You think you're not a jerk already? Ruby was just in my sanctum, crying her eyes out. You've ruined all 3 of my female disciples. Caleb stepped forward anxiously. Master, Sister Jade, and I have feelings for each other. I am willing to sacrifice myself for her. The master sighed, about to agree. Just then, we heard a rustling from the bed. Caleb grew more urgent. Master, this is an emergency. If we don't cure her soon, she'll die. He started to pull off his robe, but his hands froze mid-air. His eyes widened in horror. That's... We followed his gaze. Jade, unable to control the poison's effects, had reverted to her true form. A massive, jade-green serpent. The new kid was stunned again. His face went from pale to green to purple. He never imagined that Jade was a snake demon. Master Alara kicked him in the rear. Well, what are you waiting for? Get your clothes off. Caleb stumbled backwards until his back hit the door frame. I think the first brother should do it. You were singing a different tune a minute ago, the master snapped. He looked terrified. No, master, my injuries are still acting up. I should go rest. Yes, I'll go now. You all take good care of Sister Jade. Before he even finished his sentence, he was gone, a blur disappearing down the mountain. Master Alara looked at me with a weary sigh. I shook my head frantically. She sighed again and moved to seal the major energy points along Jade's body. Then we can only seal the poison for now. We'll let her decide what to do when she wakes up. I nodded vigorously. The master is wise. I have things to attend to. I was about to make a run for it, but she grabbed my arm. You're scared of demons, too? I heard that just the other night. Seraphina reverted to her true form with you, and I quickly clamped a hand over her mouth, my face burning. My dear master, you can't just say things like that out loud. If the other students heard, what would be left of my reputation? She stared at me for a long moment, her expression serious. Jade has a trace of the ancient sky-devouring python bloodline. It could be of immense help to your breakthrough. I cut her off, my face grim. You said the same thing about Seraphina having a trace of the ancient nine-tailed celestial fox bloodline. The master blushed. Well, Seraphina's aptitude was a bit lacking. She never awakened it. And you also said that you yourself had a trace of the ancient Chelan bloodline. At that, she exploded. You brat, she hissed through gritted teeth. Are you trying to overthrow your own master? I shook my head like a toy on a dashboard. Master, I was just joking. You wouldn't want to lose your favorite disciple, right? After we calmed down, I sat on the steps with her and asked seriously, why did you accept that kid Caleb anyway? His talent can't possibly be good enough for you. Don't tell me the 100,000-year-old virgin Chelan has finally developed a crush. She rolled her eyes. His father offered too much. I couldn't refuse. All the food you eat, the supplies you use. Where do you think the money comes from? The Miller family. My gaze drifted down the mountain. But that kid is full of resentment now. He's going to be trouble. If he ever finds out that you're a demon, too, he'll definitely leave the academy. The master nodded thoughtfully. You're right. We have to think of something. We can't lose that cash cow. She paused, a sly look in her eye. What if we recommend him to the Sanctuary of Bliss? Their matriarch is an old friend of mine. They're quite powerful, too. 3 days later, the master, my 3 sisters, and I escorted Caleb to the Sanctuary of Bliss. I thought he'd refuse. He seemed to have deep feelings for my sisters, and Skyhaven had no shortage of beautiful women. But the moment he heard the sanctuary's matriarch was the master's friend, and that he could pick from any number of beautiful female disciples, he agreed without a second thought. We were greeted by the matriarch's junior disciple, Iris, an ice queen whose beauty could topple nations. Caleb was instantly smitten, practically pointing at her and saying, I want that one. But since she was already a master level, he didn't dare say it out loud. Venerable Matriarch Alara, Iris said, bowing respectfully to my master. My teacher has already given her approval. Though it is not the season for new disciples, she has agreed to accept Caleb. The master tossed her a runic satchel. Thank you, Lady Iris. Caleb immediately stepped forward. Sister Iris, can I choose you as my partner? My sisters and I winced. The master was right there, and he was already changing his loyalties. Iris looked at him, completely unimpressed. No, your power is too low. Caleb panicked. Then who is my partner? Iris pointed to a large girl standing behind her. She was nearly 7 feet tall, must have weighed 300 pounds, and had a face full of freckles. Among the foundation-level disciples, only Brenda here does not have a partner. The others are all taken. Caleb looked like he'd been struck by lightning again. Caleb, the master said in a stern voice, cultivate well at the sanctuary. Treat Brenda well. Do not bring shame upon my name. He looked like he was about to cry. He tried to run, but his body was frozen in place. Brenda's arm clamped around his like a vice, making sure he couldn't escape. He could only shoot us a desperate, pleading look. We all pretended not to see it, instead wishing Brenda well and telling her to take good care of our junior brother. She grinned, so wide her eyes disappeared into her cheeks, and she slapped her chest with a resounding thud, promising to do just that. Let's go, little brother, Iris said, her icy facade melting into a dazzling smile. The Sanctuary of Bliss is a true paradise on earth. You're going to enjoy it. The 2 women dragged the horrified Caleb away. Cole, Seraphina's voice whispered beside me. Were you just checking out that hussy? No, of course not. I was looking respectfully. Was she pretty? Ruby chimed in. Yeah. Ow. I mean, no. Not pretty. Ow, 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 stop twisting.